Have you ever just stopped and wondered how something as incredibly complex as an animal body actually works? I mean, we're talking about everything from a simple little hydra all the way up to a human being. Well, it all comes down to this brilliant, layered blueprint. So how does nature build all that complexity from just a few simple parts? Let's unravel that blueprint.
I mean, think about it. The human body has billions of individual cells. So how do you get from that microscopic chaos to a coordinated, functioning person? How do all these tiny little cells know what to do and, more importantly, how to work together? That's the big question we're tackling.
Well, the very first step up from a single cell is something called a tissue. You can think of it like a team. A tissue is basically a group of similar cells, along with the stuff that's in between them, all organized to do one specific job. They are the absolute fundamental building blocks of every complex animal out there.
And you can see this hierarchy perfectly right here. You start with cells. Those cells team up to form tissues. Then, those tissues are organized in specific patterns to build an organ, like the stomach or the heart. And when a bunch of organs cooperate, they form an entire organ system, like the digestive system. It's just this incredible division of labor. Now, here's the truly amazing part. You'd think there would be hundreds of different types of these foundational tissues, right? But in all complex animals, from a frog to you and me, everything, and I mean everything, is built from just 4 basic types. That's it. Only 4.
So, let's break down these 4 master blueprints. We've got epithelial tissue, which is all about covering and lining. Then there's connective tissue, which supports and binds everything together. Muscle tissue, which lets us move. And finally, neural tissue, which controls the whole show.
All right, first up, epithelial tissue. Think of this as the body's interface. It's the tissue that provides a covering or a lining for some part of the body, and it's always facing either the outside world or some kind of internal body fluid. The key thing to get about epithelial tissue is just how tightly its cells are packed together. It says here, little intercellular matrix. That's just a fancy way of saying there's barely any space or glue between the cells. And this super tight seal is exactly what makes it the perfect protective barrier.
Now, we can split this tissue into 2 main types based on its layers. You've got simple epithelium, which is just a single layer of cells. It's perfect for lining ducts and tubes where stuff needs to pass through. And then you have compound epithelium, which has 2 or more layers stacked up, making it ideal for protection. Yep, just like our skin.
And if we zoom in on that simple, single-layered epithelium, you can really see how form follows function. The squamous cells are super thin and flat, which is perfect for diffusion in the air sacs of your lungs. The cuboidal cells are shaped like little cubes, and they're masters of secretion and absorption in places like your kidneys. And the columnar cells are tall and skinny, lining your stomach and intestines to do all the heavy lifting of secretion and absorption there.
Okay, on to our second blueprint, connective tissue. And just like the name suggests, its main job is to link and support all the other tissues and organs. It is, by far, the most abundant and widely distributed tissue in the body of complex animals. It's literally everywhere.
So here's what makes connective tissue totally different. Instead of being packed tightly together, these cells are specialists in making and secreting materials outside of themselves. They create these amazing fibers, like super strong collagen and flexible elastin. And these fibers float in a kind of matrix or ground substance. This made-on-the-outside structure is the secret to its incredible versatility.
And the variety is just staggering. Connective tissues range from soft, loose types like the fat-storing adipose tissue under our skin to dense, incredibly tough tissues like the tendons and ligaments that connect our muscles and bones. And then you get the really specialized stuff. Pliable cartilage in your nose, the hard structural frame of bone, and even blood, which is actually a fluid connective tissue that transports substances all over your body. It really is everywhere, doing everything.
All right, time for our third blueprint, muscle tissue, the movers and shakers of the body. Every muscle is made of these long cylindrical fibers, all lined up in parallel, and their whole purpose in life is to play an active role in all the movements of the body. The magic of muscle tissue really boils down to this one simple action. When it gets a signal, the fibers contract, they shorten. Then they relax and they lengthen again. It's this coordinated shortening and lengthening that allows us to move, to change our position, and even just to stand upright. So there are 3 types you should know.
Skeletal muscle is the stuff that's attached to our bones. Think of your biceps. Smooth muscle is found in the walls of our internal organs, like our stomach and intestines. And cardiac muscle, well, that's the very special powerhouse tissue found only in the heart.
Now here's a critical difference you experience every single day. Skeletal muscles are voluntary. You can choose to flex your bicep. But smooth and cardiac muscles, they're involuntary. You can't just think about it and make your stomach digest faster or tell your heart to beat slower. Their functioning is completely out of your direct control.
And that brings us to our fourth and final blueprint, neural tissue. This is the master controller, the command and control network. It has the greatest control over how our body responds to every single change, both inside and out.
The fundamental unit of neural tissue, the star of the show, is the neuron. These are what we call excitable cells. That just means they're specifically designed to respond to stimuli and then transmit that information. They make up the body's super-complex communication network. So, how does it work? Well, when a neuron gets the right kind of stimulation, it creates an electrical disturbance, a signal. And this signal travels at incredible speed along its membrane, like a wave, allowing it to communicate with other neurons or cells and trigger a response. It's the body's very own biological wiring. Okay, so we've seen the 4 blueprints. Now let's see how they all come together to build something. These basic tissues we've been talking about organize themselves to form organs, and that's absolutely essential for a complex organism to work properly.
So, just as a quick recap, we've got epithelial tissue for covering, connective tissue for support, muscular tissue for movement, and neural tissue for control. These are our 4 essential building blocks.
And your heart is the absolute perfect example of this collaboration. It's lined and covered by epithelial tissue, it's got connective tissues that make up the valves and the protective sac around it, its walls, of course, are made of that powerful cardiac muscle, and its rate and rhythm are all controlled by neural tissue. All 4 types working together in concert to perform one vital function, pumping blood. And this brings us to one last really fascinating thought. If all complex animals are built from these same 4 fundamental blueprints, what is it about the specific way they're arranged, their proportion and their pattern, that creates the incredible diversity of life we see all around us? What makes a human so incredibly different from a simple little hydra? And that is where the next level of complexity